working to connect a region of over 600 cultural bridges between our lands.
Hello and welcome to ASEAN in Focus. I'm Maricar Velasco, delivering to you the latest news in and around the ASEAN region. On today's headlines, the World Health Organization called for aggressive action in Southeast Asia to combat the fast-spreading coronavirus, warning that some countries were heading towards community transmission of the deadly disease. President Rodrigo Duterte has signed a proclamation placing the entire Philippines under a state of calamity for 6 months due to the coronavirus disease 2019. Traffic is heavy on the causeway linking Malaysia and Singapore as Malaysians with jobs in the city-state rush to get in ahead of a ban on traveling overseas from Malaysia, among other drastic measures to curb the spread of the coronavirus in the Muslim-majority country. Vietnam produced a public information video about how to limit the spread of #coronavirus through proper hygiene and washing of hands. The World Health Organization called for aggressive action in Southeast Asia to combat the fast-spreading coronavirus, warning Tuesday that some countries were heading towards community transmission of the deadly disease. Infections have soared across the region in recent weeks, forcing several countries to introduce drastic measures ranging from closing their borders to foreign arrivals and imposing nighttime curfews to closing schools and canceling sports events. There are concerns that weaker public health care systems in many Southeast Asian countries will be unable to cope with a major outbreak.
WHO, the World Health Organization, today called on member states in Southeast Asia to urgently scale up aggressive measures to combat COVID-19 as confirmed cases cross 480 with 8 deaths. 8 of the 11 countries in WHO's Southeast Asia region have confirmed cases of COVID-19, and the numbers of cases are increasing quickly. While this is an indication of an alert and effective surveillance, it also puts the spotlight on the need for more aggressive and whole-of-society efforts to prevent further spread of COVID-19, WHO said. We clearly need to do more and urgently. Our humanitarian colleagues tell us that some of the 140 countries affected by the COVID-19 pandemic are already in crisis due to conflicts, natural disasters, and climate change. They're home to millions of people who already need our emergency assistance. The UN and its humanitarian partners are determined that crucial life-saving work for the world's most vulnerable communities must be sustained.
President Rodrigo Duterte has signed a proclamation placing the entire Philippines under a state of calamity for 6 months due to the coronavirus disease 2019. In his proclamation number 929, Duterte stressed that the declaration of a state of calamity nationwide is necessary amid the rise of confirmed cases of COVID-19 in the country. The state of calamity will last for 6 months unless earlier lifted or extended as circumstances may warrant. This will allow the national government and local government units to tap calamity and quick response funds in its bid to delay the epidemic peak of COVID-19. The president also ordered all law enforcement agencies with the support from the Armed Forces of the Philippines to undertake all necessary measures to ensure peace and order in affected areas with the enhanced community quarantine imposed throughout Luzon from March 17 to April 12, 2020. Exempted from the implementation of enhanced community quarantines are soldiers, policemen, authorized government workers, health workers, and others performing other essential services. Overseas Filipino workers, balikbayans, and foreigners are allowed to leave the Philippines anytime despite the Luzon-wide enhanced community quarantine, a palace official said late Tuesday night. In a palace press briefing, Cabinet Secretary Carlo Nograles said these groups will only have to show proof of international travel.
Capsec Nograles.
OFWs, balikbayans, and foreign nationals leaving for abroad through any of the ports in Luzon shall be allowed to leave the Philippines at any time for the duration of the enhanced community quarantine, provided that proof of international travel itinerary scheduled within 24 hours must be presented.
Earlier, the Department of Transportation, or DOTR, said travelers of all nationalities would only be given 72 hours to leave the country. He, however, noted that Filipinos will have to observe travel restrictions in place in the country. Non-essential travel by Filipinos from any point of Luzon will be suspended, according to Nograles. He also assured that OFWs leaving for abroad will be given transport services by the Overseas Workers Welfare Administration and can be accompanied by only one person. The Philippines is currently under enhanced community quarantine until April 12 to minimize the risk of catching and spreading the coronavirus disease 2019. This means that strict home quarantine shall be implemented in all households, transportation shall be suspended, provision for food and essential health services shall be regulated, and heightened presence of uniformed personnel to enforce quarantine procedures will be implemented. Health workers, authorized government officials, media personnel, those traveling for medical or humanitarian reasons, persons providing basic services, and essential skeletal workforce will be exempted from the quarantine. President Rodrigo Duterte has placed the country under a state of public health emergency and a state of calamity due to COVID-19. As of Tuesday, the Department of Health said there are a total of 187 confirmed cases of COVID-19 in the country, with 14 deaths. More than 150 countries have been affected by the COVID-19 outbreak, which originated in Wuhan, China. The World Health Organization has declared the COVID-19 a pandemic, which means a worldwide spread of a new disease. The Department of Tourism, or DOT, has lauded the lifting of the travel ban on outbound passengers except Filipino tourists, in line with the Luzon-wide enhanced community quarantine. The department, in a statement released on Wednesday, said, quote, "The Department of Tourism welcomed the decision of the Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases to lift the 72-hour window for individuals departing overseas." DOT coordinated with the Department of Foreign Affairs and the Department of Labor and Employment to provide the joint guidelines for the lifting of the ban. Upon the updated guidelines, overseas Filipino workers, balikbayans, and foreign nationals will be allowed to leave at any time during the quarantine in Luzon, provided they travel only to the airport within 24 hours of the date and time of their departure. Outgoing passengers are advised to provide documents of their departure, such as an electronic ticket or flight itinerary. Filipino citizens are strictly not allowed to take an outbound international flight to countries where travel restrictions are in place, according to DOT. On transportation arrangements, outbound passengers may be accompanied by only one companion or driver to and from the airport. Their companion is advised to carry a copy of the passenger's e-ticket or itinerary. For tourists requiring assistance, a tourism airport team is stationed at airports to provide them 24-hour service, including assistance in arranging flights, securing bookings, transportation, meals, and accommodation. Thousands of passengers rushed to Manila Airport after government announced plans to shut down the airports in the main island of Luzon in the coming days as part of measures to curb the rising cases of coronavirus.
Because they're going to shut down all the airports on the islands, and this was the last day to take an airplane from Busuanga, Coron to Clark. So this was our only opportunity to go home in time before the shutdown.
So it's
mostly I'm a little bit sad that we cannot continue our vacation, but no, yeah, like when you're traveling, these things happen sometimes. You have to deal with it. There will be another time for more vacations, so it doesn't.
The number of coronavirus disease 2019 deaths in the country is now at 14, the Department of Health said on Tuesday. 6 more people have been confirmed to have the coronavirus disease. This brings the total number of COVID-19 cases in the country near to 200. One patient identified as 126 is a 76-year-old Filipino male who died in the afternoon due to acute respiratory disease syndrome and severe pneumonia secondary to COVID-19. He has type 2 diabetes and hypertensive cardiovascular disease. He was admitted at the Adventist Medical Center in Manila on March 9 and was confirmed positive with COVID-19 on March 15. Meanwhile, patient 129 is a 67-year-old Filipino male who died from ARDS and community-acquired pneumonia secondary to COVID-19. He was known to be hypertensive. He was admitted at the Lung Center of the Philippines and was confirmed positive with COVID-19 on March 15. Meanwhile, the DOH also said that there are now 4 patients who have recovered. Long lines form at bus stops and train stations in Indonesia's capital, Jakarta, after the government reduced public transport services, calling for people to work from home. President Joko Widodo says Indonesia has no plan to implement a lockdown yet. Take a look.
Kemarin saya baca dari Twitteran, terus banyak postingan bahwa MRT hanya dipersingkat cuma sedikit gerbongnya, tapi nggak nyangka kalau semua aksesnya juga ditutup. Karena aksesnya cuma masuk dalam yang mungkin cuma 10 orang. Sedangkan yang ada itu dari batasin, jadi per berapa orang yang cuma boleh masuk gitu, antri panjang.
Traffic is heavy on the causeway linking Malaysia and Singapore as Malaysians with jobs in the city-state rush to get in ahead of a ban on traveling overseas from Malaysia, among other drastic measures to curb the spread of the coronavirus in the Muslim-majority country.
因为马来西亚讲明天不可以过来了嘛，明天不可以过来，连他生了就没有安迪跟他作业，所以我今天就提早来了，他这几天要生了。
Because they said the virus become more worse, so they said maybe the Malaysia checkpoint they're going to be closed. So all the people are working in Singapore. Once they go into Malaysia already, they cannot come back to Singapore again. So because the checkpoint will be closed as soon because of the virus. So we start to prepare, and my company was telling to provide for us to stay and the food, everything for us. So we need to come on. It's not means we cannot come back because we don't have salary for that. So have a 2 weeks stay to Singapore. What the government decision make is a bit wrong because they cannot tell to the work. If you want to sponsor for the foreigner or the white card, it's a possibility. But for the workers, you cannot do that because it's 1,000 people or workers now. They cannot leave the family, the children, and come and stay here for the 2 weeks. So you need to understand their situation also. But what they
因为我是孕妇嘛，如果留在这里的话，后面如果是后续还不知道怎样，如果是拖延的话，我要怎么出去？
Malaysia banned its citizens from traveling overseas and foreigners from entering the country in drastic measures announced by the Prime Minister Monday aimed at curbing the spread of the deadly new coronavirus. Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin said schools will also be closed under the rules that will be in place for 2 weeks from Wednesday. Large gatherings will be banned, while shops and places of worship will be shuttered in the country, which has 566 virus cases according to a Johns Hopkins University tally, the highest number in Southeast Asia. Essential services such as supermarkets and banks will remain open. Malaysia has so far recorded no fatalities from the virus. Many of the country's infections have been linked to a global Islamic event held last month and attended by almost 20,000 people. Authorities said participants at the gathering from February 27 to March 1 came from Bangladesh, Brunei, the Philippines, Singapore, and Thailand. Around 14,500 of the participants were Malaysian. The new measures bar foreigners from the country, but citizens returning to Malaysia will have to self-quarantine for 14 days. Cambodia reported 12 new cases of coronavirus on Tuesday, doubling its tally to 24, according to Bangkok Post news agency. Of the new cases, 11 were people who had traveled to Malaysia for a religious event at a mosque, a statement from the Ministry of Health said. 2 others who had traveled to the same ceremony had tested positive for the virus in Cambodia over the weekend. More news when ASEAN in Focus returns.
When visiting the Philippines, Manila or Quezon City is a popular destination. But oftentimes the hustle and bustle of the city can be more stressful on your vacation. So when you feel the need to reconnect to nature or relax again, there's a beautiful oasis just outside of the city called the Garden at Ciudad de Victoria. Some of the species that you can see here include hydrangea, snapdragon, and stargazers. They're truly beautiful. The gardens at Ciudad de Victoria are so peaceful, tranquil, and beautiful that it's become a haven for young couples and a very popular venue for engagement photos. The next time you want an escape from the big city, the garden at Ciudad de Victoria is a wonderful place to visit.
Welcome back. Millions of San Francisco area residents on Monday were ordered to stay home to slow the spread of the deadly coronavirus as part of a lockdown effort covering a section of California, including Silicon Valley. We have more from Don Orozco, our Silicon Valley Bureau Chief.
Good afternoon, Maricar.
Good afternoon, Don.
You know, it is around 12:30, I guess, if I am not mistaken. It's 11:30 p.m. here in Silicon Valley. And just wanted to let you know that today, the mayor of San Francisco actually decreed and asked the citizens of San Francisco, and particularly the whole of San Francisco County, to follow the lockdown procedure that is being implemented in the city of San Francisco. It is, the reason being is that they would have wanted to prevent any additional positive testings from any of their citizens. Because right now, out of the 6 busiest counties in the Bay Area, which is the Marin County, San Francisco, San Mateo, Contra Costa, Alameda and Santa Clara, they have in place a shelter in place, which is technically just stay in a safe place, and we will just let you know if everything is clear. Again, this is to prevent people from contracting the COVID-19. Right now, in Napa County has remained to have 0 incidents, while here in Santa Clara County, where it actually covers the city of San Jose, Mountain View, Gilroy, and 12 other cities, there are already 155 reported to be positive, in terms of COVID-19. While it has been very, very quiet from around the area, as public transit has continued to operate, except that office buildings and commercial establishments has ceased to operate simply because the government is trying to shut down everything. In the meantime, the President of the United States, President Donald Trump, announced to adhere the call of both the local and the federal government in making sure that everyone is safe. And he also promised in his speech today that he will be providing some financial packages for those who have been displaced by COVID-19. So it is indeed very helpful for people to continue to follow the directives set forth by the national government. Again, we live in interesting times, and here, live reporting from San Jose, Silicon Valley, this is Don Orozco for COVID-19, liwanagin natin.
Thank you, Don. Now let's head on over to other countries outside the ASEAN region. In Edmonton, Thomas I. Likeness will give us an update on the COVID-19 situation there.
Well, life as we know it in Canada is changing rapidly as various levels of government respond to COVID-19. Let's have a look at the day's events in Canada. First of all, the federal government promised some economic help to help people and businesses with expenses they might incur as a result of shutdowns because of COVID-19. Now, there's no details on this yet. The Prime Minister says he'll be back in front of the cameras tomorrow to tell us more. Across the country, movie theaters have been shut down, although I guess they're going to, the movie companies are going to make them available by pay-per-view. In Alberta, because of our declared state of emergency, gatherings have been limited to no more than 50 people, and this will include church services as well. Restaurants can't have more than 50 people in the restaurant or more than 50% capacity, whichever number is less. And entertainment facilities such as gyms, swimming pools, bowling alleys, arcades, any such places, they're all closed now. And this one really hurts me. Buffet-style restaurants, no more buffets, at least for the time being. It appears the panic buying is off, though. When I was in the grocery stores, not as many shopping carts were piled high, and there's still items on the shelf. We're assured that the supply chains are in place, that grocery stores will have adequate supplies. Our Chief Medical Health Officer in Alberta, Dr. Dina Hinshaw, reported another 23 cases of COVID-19 in the last 24 hours. And she says, this is why, let's listen to her, this is why the government is taking such aggressive measures.
These are aggressive steps that we do not take lightly, but these are necessary to keep us all healthy and safe. The only means we have to prevent the virus from spreading is to limit contact between people. The more we can slow the spread of the virus down, the less likely it is that there will be a surge of cases that overwhelm our health system's capacity to care for those who need hospitalization or intensive care.
Oh, and some good news from Dr. Hinshaw. Let's let her tell it.
Yesterday, as you know, I was tested for COVID-19, and I'm pleased to let you know that my test results were negative and that I am feeling better this morning.
I hope you're all feeling well. Hang in there. We're going to get through this together. In Edmonton, Thomas I. Likeness, Eagle News, we live in interesting times.
Thank you, Thomas. In Sacramento, everything is on virtual lockdown as our ABC correspondent MJ Ragajo visits some supermarkets and sites. MJ?
Hi, I'm Jericati here reporting for Eagle News International. As you know, WHO announced that coronavirus or COVID-19 is now a global pandemic. Well, school districts, businesses, and mass gatherings has been closed over here in Sacramento County and throughout the state of California. And let's find out, let's visit the local stores, supermarket in particular, and local businesses. It may affect the economy in a big way. So let's interview the local residents and the business owners. Let's go and find out. Well, the city of Sacramento is almost like a lockdown because there's no people around. It's like total empty over here in Sacramento. Sacramento is California's capital and also known for City of Trees because of millions of trees has been planted throughout the county. According to Sacramento County Public Health, as of March 13, 2020, there are 32 confirmed cases of COVID-19 and 1 death. Well, I felt like the whole entire Sacramento downtown is locked down because usually Sundays many people here hang out, but now it's like total empty. Wow, look at this business. It's dead. Nobody there. This is a local coffee shop over here in downtown Sacramento, across the Capitol building. Wow, it's super empty. Wow, even this local restaurant over here in downtown Sacramento, it's total empty. Look at inside. This is a steakhouse over here. Wow. Look at that. I feel like the whole entire city is locked down. Now let's visit the local supermarket or businesses to find out and the reaction of this global pandemic, coronavirus or COVID-19. So let's find out where the necessities like the toilet paper, face wipes, and hand sanitizers aisle. Now they call this panic buying to the highest level. Look at the facial and bathroom tissue aisle. Look at that. It's all empty. Look at all the water bottles. They're all gone. Do you know when you can get another bottled water?
I think tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
I'm not sure.
Wow, they're all gone due to global pandemic, coronavirus, or COVID-19, you guys. Wow, the water is gone. So what's next? Look at all the Gatorades. So did you finding anything that you're looking for?
Oh, one packet Gatorade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had a scrounge around for 3 boxes of diapers because I have triplets.
What about your produce? Have you find any of your produce?
This is what, yeah.
So, what can you say about this global pandemic, COVID-19?
That's crazy.
Mhm.
Going crazy.
Well, look at the canned goods. It's almost empty, and look at the bread aisle, you guys. This is crazy. Panic buying to the highest level.
Coronavirus is affecting us in many ways. First off, today we had to cut our capacity in half, so that means we're losing customers in a way because the governor said we have to cut it in half. So, we're losing money in that way.
Don't worry, no bathroom tissue, no problem, because we Filipinos have tabo, a plastic bucket. Make sure to wash your hands at least 20 seconds with antibacterial soap. Also, a reminder from County of Public Health and Services to practice social distancing at least 6 feet per person. Governor Newsom recently announced the cancellation of mass gatherings, events, and school district until further notice to avoid the spread of COVID-19. Requested the legislature make up to $20 million available for state government to respond to the spread of COVID-19. California activated the State Operations Center to its highest level to coordinate response efforts across the state. 24 million more Californians are now eligible for free medically necessary COVID-19 testing. The California Employment Development Department, or EDD, is encouraging individuals who are unable to work. So what can you say about this global pandemic, coronavirus, COVID-19?
Well, it hasn't affected me too much other than just like people that I know. Or just, that I know that it's going on around the world and even here in Sacramento. So if you're affected by it or if you lost someone because of the disease, I feel bad and, I pray for you, pray for your family. Hopefully you guys are staying safe and healthy. But
there could be a potential lockdown. Are you ready for it?
I mean, yeah,
Here
whatever comes, we got to be prepared. So, yeah.
You bought something like your necessity?
Got some food, things I need.
Got some food?
Yeah.
All right, so, well, that's basically it. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, no problem.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Right now, it's much worse right now, but, it's something that's always been going on. And people are using, the virus originated from Asia, and now they're using an excuse to, treat us even worse. I do. It affects, not just the service industry, but it affects everyone overall. I go to Sac State, and it affects us a lot because we can't hold events or anything like that, and also classes are canceled and everything's moved online.
I believe it's like 30 days, if I'm not, or longer.
But depending on how it is, but it's most likely to the end of the semester, and we have to transition to online class, and it's something that we have to get used to because we used to in class, now we get to online class. And something we have to time manage to go to be there and learn.
Due to the exposure of COVID-19 to file a disability insurance claim. Well, I felt like the whole entire city of Sacramento is locked down because it's very quiet. Businesses are closed here, schools are closed. Well, it's Sunday over here in Sacramento. But according to CDC, tips in how to take care of yourself during this global pandemic of coronavirus or COVID-19, you gotta wash your hands for 20 seconds with antibacterial soap. And if you are going to grocery shopping or anything important, you gotta bring your medical mask, and of course 60% isopropyl alcohol to sanitize yourself. Reporting from California's capital, Sacramento, this is MJ Ricardio. I am one with 25.
Stay tuned. ASEAN in Focus. We'll be right back.
Annyeong, bonjour, konnichiwa, hello! Kumusta po sa lahat ng viewers namin dito sa Pilipinas? Ako si Ate DJ, and you can watch me and Teacher Sally here on Net25 Kids Live. You can catch me every Tuesdays and Thursdays on Anong Sa Inyo, and you can catch Teacher Sally every Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Here, actually, on this set, this is the Kid Kwento set. Iniimbitahan po namin kayong lahat na manood ng shows ng Net25 through OSN. You can now watch Net25 shows on the OSN channel 725. Panoorin nyo ang mga favorite Net25 shows nyo live and on demand, anytime, anywhere, and on any mobile device on OSN Play. Dito sa Net25 and OSN, siguradong at home kayo dito. Again, I am Ate DJ and I am 1 with 25.
Welcome back. The Philippines suspended trade on its local stock exchange Tuesday, becoming the first country to close its financial market over coronavirus fears. President Duterte ordered most of the 55 million people on the main island of Luzon, which includes the capital Manila, to stay at home for the next month after social distancing measures failed to keep people away from one another. Philippine Stock Exchange President Ramon Monzon told traders in a memo that trading is suspended starting Tuesday until further notice to move in step with Duterte's order. Monzon said the suspension was also to ensure the safety of employees and traders in light of the escalating cases of the coronavirus disease. The country's three main airlines announced massive flight cancellations once the 72-hour window imposed by government ends, following the declaration of a Luzon-wide lockdown to stop mass transmission of the coronavirus disease. Legacy carrier Philippine Airlines said it has canceled all domestic flights effective immediately until April 12, but flights will resume the following day, April 13, 2020. PAL issued the advisory saying, quote, "We continue to operate international flights up to midnight of March 20, 2020, adding it will announce in due course the status of its international flights from March 20 up to April 12. PAL also said its Manila Airport ticket office at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport Terminal 2 will remain open from 2 a.m. until 10 p.m. daily, 7 days a week. However, all other PAL ticket offices in Metro Manila will be closed to comply with the quarantine directives. Cebu Pacific and CebGo flights will be canceled from March 19 until April 14, 2020. Cebu Pacific said it wants to ensure the safety of passengers and operation teams in compliance with the stricter quarantine measures, land travel restrictions, and regulations in place. In this connection, Ceb said its last day of operations will be on March 18, 2020, and advised passengers to check the flight status through bit.ly/cebflight-status. These options may be processed online via the managed booking portals in the Cebu Pacific website. For the health and safety of passengers and personnel, all Cebu Pacific ticket offices will be closed from March 19 to April 14, 2020. Concerns may be relayed to Cebu Pacific via bit.ly/cebrequest or the customer hotlines through bit.ly/customer hotlines. International flights from both airports will also be canceled starting March 20 until April 14. Meantime, AirAsia said its domestic and international flights from its other hubs in the Philippines, Cebu and Calibo, have similarly been canceled, dates of which follow directives of respective local government units. Guests may check on their flights via the flight status function, as well as available flights on airasia.com website and mobile app. The Philippine Association of Meat Processors, Inc., or PAMPI, has appealed to the public to stop panic buying and hoarding processed meat products, as a surge in demand could deplete the industry's production supply faster to 15 days from the normal 30-day capacity. Bambi also urged the national government to immediately resolve logistical concerns on the ground as some shuttles carrying workers and trucks transporting their products were not allowed to pass through certain checkpoints despite showing necessary documents and identification. Nevertheless, Bambi assured the public that it is doing its best to ensure that the country would have a sufficient supply of processed meat products. Bambi Vice President Jerome D. Ong said demand from retailers, distributors, supermarkets for certain processed meat products such as hot dogs, corned beef, longanisa, and tocino has tripled or even quintupled after President Duterte declared a community quarantine in Metro Manila a few days ago. The situation worsened after he declared an enhanced or restricted quarantine on a wider area, Luzon-wide. However, Ong said the industry has decided to limit the volume of supplies they give per retailer, supermarket, and distributor to ensure the equal distribution of supplies in Metro Manila. Malaysians rushed to supermarkets across the country after the government announced drastic measures to curb the coronavirus outbreak. At two supermarkets, shoppers were snapping up pasta, canned food, and toilet paper. In another city, surveys by the New Straits Times at supermarkets revealed that rice, cooking oil, and instant noodles were flying off the shelves. There were also problems in obtaining face masks and hand sanitizers in another city. Pahang Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs Ministry Enforcement Chief Ahmad Fitri Ali said there had been a sudden surge in demand for face masks, and the ministry was doing all it could to ensure that there was sufficient supply. He said the surgical mask manufacturers were trying to meet demand, but they could not set an exact time frame on when they could deliver the items. A pharmacist said most businesses had ordered new stocks of face masks, but the suppliers said they could only deliver by the middle of next month. Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs Ministry Enforcement Division Director Datuk Iskandar Halim Sulaiman said there was no need for people to resort to panic buying as the current situation was under control.
They should have actually introduced this 1 month ago, but not now. It's a bit too late, because last evening the whole road here was jammed with people buying things. And I've got inside there and said, look, it's all empty, you see. As I see it today, some of the racks, many of the racks are empty. But the management told me that they will get the fresh supply and that we shouldn't worry. That's the situation.
Actually, I think when the government have to have problem that time, they already spread quite a lot. They're supposed to early to stop the people to gathering. All gathering, big gathering that one have to be.
Beli lebih sikit lah ration. Jika ada apa-apa keperluan yang mendesak kan. Kalau tak boleh keluar misalnya, jadi adalah sikit storage, food storage.
Cambodia's multi-billion-dollar garment industry is at risk of chain disruption from the deadly coronavirus as the outbreak crippled Southeast Asia's key industries, bringing border trade to a trickle.
Dịch thế này nằm đây là 5 ngày rồi, chưa biết như thế nào là thông quan qua được hay không. Em đang nằm chờ đây thôi.
Bệnh dịch nó kéo dài lâu quá, giờ nằm đây không biết chừng nào xe qua được. Anh nằm chờ đây vất vả.
គាត់ថាកម្មករទាំងអស់គេព្រួយបារម្ភរឿងជំងឺកូវីដហ្នឹងចឹងណាហើយណាមួយរោងចក្រវាអត់មានដំណើរការវាអត់មានកណ្ដាប់ចេញចូលដល់គ្នាចិត្តព្រួយបារម្ភរឿងការងារដែរហ្នឹង
Like Cambodia, Vietnam's industry is reliant on China for 60% of fabrics to fuel its clothing production lines. In northern Lang Son, rows of trucks wait hours or even days to bring their goods through the border gate. The coronavirus has shaken the global economy, said Cambodia's strongman Premier Hun Sen. Cambodia is already feeling the sting with its $7 billion garment sector reliant on China for 60% of its raw materials. Vietnam postponed its debut Formula One Grand Prix on Friday as fears over the spread of the deadly coronavirus decimated the start of the track season. Scheduled for April 5, the Grand Prix in Hanoi was set to be the third race of the season and the first ever to be held by the communist country. Instead, it has become the third event of the 2020 championship to be nixed as the virus throws global sport into disarray. China has already postponed its Grand Prix to an unspecified date, while Australia on Friday canceled the Melbourne race hours before practice sessions were due to begin. The Bahrain race was initially due to be held behind closed doors, but it was also shelved soon after the announcement from Vietnam. Formula One, the most prestigious competition in motorsport, faces unprecedented disruption as fears over the virus cause rift through the global sporting calendar. In a statement, the Vietnam Grand Prix company said the organizer of Formula One Vietnam Grand Prix 2020 officially announces the delay of F1 Hanoi race due to complicated development of COVID-19. The decision to delay the race was made after several discussions and thorough consideration between FIA, Formula One World Championship Ltd, the People's Committee of Hanoi, and VMA in the consensus of VGPC. It added this was a very hard decision as 2020 is the first year Vietnam became an official member among the 22 countries hosting the world's most professional and attractive motor race. Rome residents sing classic Italian song Bella Ciao from their windows and balconies as the city remains under lockdown to contain a coronavirus outbreak, which has killed over 7,000 worldwide.
E la gente che passerà, oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. E la gente che passerà dirà, oh che bel fiore, e questo è il fiore del partigiano. Oh bella ciao, bella ciao, bella ciao, ciao, ciao. E questo è il fiore del partigiano, morto per la libertà.
Vietnam produced a public information video about how to limit the spread of #coronavirus through proper hygiene and washing of hands. The song from the video became a hit and is now also a TikTok dance challenge. And that is the latest news in the Southeast Asian nations. Stay updated about the ASEAN region. I'm Maricar Velasco and I'm one with 25.